I used to be the most vengeful person you knew. Half of what I did was solely because I wanted to show everyone who thought that I couldn't, that I could. And what I mean by everyone, I mean my own family. I'm talking about my brother who said it'd be better for me to go local to community college and save money that way and not going into maybe business is kind of like a broad major to go into. And I remember having those conversations even with my parents, Haitian immigrants, first generation in this country that I was born into. I'm the first in my family to be born here. And so seeing the doubt, seeing how when I went to church, I was one of the youngest people there. I was 16 years old. Everybody there was like between the ages of 25 to 32. That was the bulk majority. And becoming an active member, seeing how people were trying to like guide me, it felt like they were doubting me. And there's nothing more that I took personal than feeling like someone believing that I could not do something. Because it's like, but who are you though? And that made me want to do it even more. I was just born with a rebellious spirit. And it wasn't until I finally started seeing those accolades start to pile up when I became a public speaker. I was on the Canadian news by 19. I got my dream job at 20, working in digital marketing in Wall Street in the financial services industry, which is a very stable industry. I started racking all these things up under my belt, and it was fueled solely off of revenge. And here's what no one tells you about that vengeful fuel, because it does make you highly productive. It makes you super aggressive and accomplishing so much, but it burns you out because eventually you realize you built a whole life around what other people thought of you. And the highest standard isn't living to who said you could do what, but it's this book. And so looking back over the span of my life earlier on of how much I prioritized other people made sense when it came to dating, where I felt like I had to put on a mask. I had to become this certain type of man to gain approval, because that's what you see on Instagram. That's what you see in society. I saw all the cool dudes, especially the dudes in the hood who wore the Dior, who did what they wanted to do, but always had money to splash around. It became the next thing, the next focus, because it never stops at one thing. I never forgot going to a backyard party. It was one of my friend's birthday. Well, we'll call him Bob. It was Bob's birthday. We went to the park, and Bob got a lot of woman friends. And going there, I was talking to a young lady who wanted to be a dentist. And I remember like, oh wow, that really aligns with me because I'm in school for business. You want to be a dentist. You actually have some type of dream and vision for your life. I say actually because most of the women I talked to didn't really have a dream or vision for their life. And from that conversation, I thought she would like take interest to realize, oh, like this guy is a really good dude. Like he's really building something. But at the end of the night, you know what happens. She ended up talking to one of the the more brash or harsh around the edges type of dude, and was feeling him, and it never made sense to me, right? And so that just took the vengeance that I took towards family and friends and put it towards women. Now I became vengeful. And that whole narrative of just feeling like, man, I'm good enough, is really called good guy syndrome. You believe you're a good guy. You believe, you know what, I can do this, I'm deserving of this, why not me? It's good guy syndrome, meaning because in your own eyes you believe that you're good, that means, you do the work and then you show up, you should get the results. And that's not true. You're not gonna find your wife. Your wife is not gonna actually, be receiving of you with that type of mentality, because all it's rooted in is yourself. And that type of pride, that type of self-servitude mindset is going to be the opposite of what you're going to experience in marriage. Because the truth is, marriage is sacrifice. This whole book is a love story about the greatest love that we would ever know. And that is based off sacrifice. Jesus sacrificed himself so that we would be able to be in a relationship to him. And could you imagine if everything he did was just to prove the Pharisees wrong? Can you see how his ministry would just end up in circles? Because it would never be enough. At what point would the Pharisees finally believe and be like, all right, you know what? I really think you're the Son of God. It never is enough. It never is sufficient. The chase never ends until it ends you. And then at that point, you're just burnt, you're wiped out, and you lived a life of pain, of misery, of celebrating wins just so you can feel like you prove something to someone who doesn't even matter to your life. Because what about God? You say it's God first. You say you're going to put him first, but you've allowed all this time to consume you. You allow all these objectives that you want to set for your life. But no matter how much you achieve, no matter how much money you make, no matter what job you got, no matter what car you drive, at the end of the day, they pass away and your soul is screaming. Your soul is in desperate need of saving because you know you're not that good. In fact, you have trouble even realizing that you're not that good. That you do good things, but not out of the true good motive of your heart. Because when no one else is looking, there is a God in heaven who watches over you that can hear your thoughts. Your lack of awareness to be softened in the heart to think of others better than yourself. Listen, I'm just giving you scripture without giving you the verse. And it's a tough truth, but that's the point. If it was easy, everyone could do it. I think it's pretty easy to use vengeance and wanting to be fueled by such a heavy emotion to push you forward. But what is actually going forward? Is it having more money in your bank account? Is it driving a nicer car? If that is all there is to life, then that is pretty depressing because that is more than achievable and doable. You can go get a great credit line. You can pull all the money together and bootstrapping it, and you'll realize you'll sit in that nice Italian leathered car, peanut butter seats, cherry seats, whatever it is that you want. And you realize, wow, this is nice, but that's all there is to it. And the level of what you have to do to sustain that is actually not even who you really are. Because at the root of it, we were all created to create. We were all created to create impact, to know who God is, to learn who he's created us to be, and then go out into the world and do the same. Now, there isn't no traditional type of dating advice. There's no type of real guidance because leadership really starts with you. And you have to realize, where are you leading yourself? When you take a step each day, what direction are you going towards? Are you moving closer to Christ, or are you moving closer to the world? Are you moving closer to your flesh, or what makes sense to you? Because there is going to be an opportunity that comes where a woman will find you and she's going to say, I like you. I think you're attractive. I can see myself with you. And based on how you have led yourself will determine where you will lead her. And so I want you to take an honest moment with yourself and really reflect, how am I leading myself? Where am I leading myself to? What is fueling and what are the motives of my own leadership? With all these years and months that have passed by, what have you done with it? Because I hope you know God is going to ask you the same thing. So you might as well ask yourself now that you're alive. One day you're going to be 6 feet beneath the dirt, and by the time they even lower your casket, you'll be in front of a holy, majestic God that is going to say, I gave you 55, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years. What did you do with it? What did you do? Did you go and learn people's names? Did you learn their stories? Did you give them your time, the one thing that you can't get back? Or did you just build for you? Did you just want to expand your kingdom, see your will be done? And here's the crushing part. A lot of those selfish motives in your own leadership is because you want to be king. You just wouldn't want to admit that. You'll say, Jesus is king. I'm just trying to align my will to Christ. But really, you're struggling because you're on the throne. You're not willing to make the sacrifices for your own life to be able to make that change. How do I know? Because I speak to a lot of you in the DM, and I realize you want to share your grievances, but you don't want to make the sacrifices. You don't want to actually admit out your mouth, that you are creating a life that serves and benefits you constantly. I'm not saying there's not going to be a time for self-care, but how much is it based off what you want for yourself? Because at one point it has to be self-denial, meaning it's not for your comfort, but it's what God wants to do through you, for you, and to you. And that is always going to hurt. And it sounds something like this for me in this season of life. Right now, our car is going to be in transition. We're about to junk our car. So we got pulled over, and pretty much within a span of a week, we lost that driving privileges to the car because we didn't change our license to Texas licenses. Then we found that the registration is expired, but then we could pass the inspection by doing some janky, turn off the engine light, but truth is, it needs a new Cadillac converter. But then by that point, the cost of what the repairs would be will also be outstanding, right? So it's not enough juice for the squeeze. But then we also found out, oh shoot, we found this book of reorganizing what the idea of business even looks like. Then my wife started coaching. She got her first 2 clients. Found out that the gym in my building will be closed. I don't even know how long. So I can't even lift. Don't have anywhere to go. But you know what's easy to do? Just take some money and just rent a car. Just rent a car. Just get around. Just get some Ubers. But obviously, everything around me that I can't control, God is just showing the signs of it's time to sit down. And what most of you all in this situation wouldn't admit, the hard truth is, I think I feel completely unproductive, and I feel less of a man because I'm not carving out the way for myself. I've been struggling with the idea of control because so many things has been happening to us, and I want to do what feels like I'm making an impact, because as a husband, that's what gives me peace of mind, knowing that I'm changing my wife's life. And that is the hard truth. I don't actually trust that God is going to navigate us well through this season, because I don't know what the end of it, I don't even know when it is. I don't know what it would look like. And that is the hard truth. They're just saying, I don't trust God right now. Or sometimes I find my devotional time kind of boring. These hard truths are very freeing because you get to look at yourself and lead with the honesty that you would want. If you want loyalty, if you want honesty, how do you practice that with God? You cannot become a great relationship person without first being a great friend. What does friendship look like to you? Are you just a lone wolf? You think that moving by yourself is faster? You don't have any friends, and you don't see that as a problem. You don't look or go out your way to make friends. And that only leaves you to your own resolve. And when you think on your own, you become prideful. Not in an arrogant way, you don't have to. But everything you think makes sense to you because there's no one else reprimanding or challenging you the way you think. And so that's where destruction comes. You can't see destruction coming when you only have your own eyes. That's why you have mirrors, to check yourself before you leave. Before I came on camera, I had a mirror. I looked at myself and was like, okay, I understand how I look now. I can fix myself. But who's doing that for you? The level and standard that you have as a man is always going to be down to not only who you have around you, but how are you treating you? And that's why I think of this whole daily deposit idea. Because every day, if you're not making a deposit into yourself, this world is taking from you. I have clients who are texting me right now. I have notifications going off right now. I have posts ready to go up right now. And all these things are going to take a little piece and a little piece and a little piece of my mind, of my patience, of my focus, of my time. And lo and behold, before I even know it, the time is gone. My energy is gone. It's going to be dark out here. And by the time it happens, I can find myself completely exhausted, feeling empty, or I can be full. I can find myself fulfilled. right? Because I took the time, not just for the Bible, but I got a lift in. I drank half a gallon already. It's empty. I've had some quiet time, since sitting in silence and in stillness, not moving around. And so now I'm ready and I'm aligned for the day. The only thing that can make this morning better is taking a dump. And so that is what it looks like. That's what it looks like to become aligned, to start leading yourself, to make those deposits on a daily. And if you want to learn more of what that looks like for you, you have a chance to just have a call. Book a one-on-one call. There's going to be a questionnaire where you apply, see what's the best fit for you. If this is the right time for you to even be looking into something like this, you might love it, but you might not be where you can be able to make not just a financial sacrifice. There is one, because this is my bread and butter. This is what I do for a living. But also the mental and emotional capacity, because that does come at a sacrifice. Because you have too much going on, how could you commit to something else? And so, you'll hear from me. I'll have another fire breakdown again.